about this piece of it, just to kind of go through her thought process on it?
Something like this forward, this is kind of a first blush opportunity. If we brought it forward, we could have some case scenarios.
Yes.
So you could understand what this would look like operational-wise and what those numbers would look like before you pass anything.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. With this, I like it, but then I start thinking about renters, and I start to worry. So this is only for owner-occupied units. I just want to make sure that we think everything through to make sure and ensure that we're not unintentionally hurting renters. So if someone owns a rental property, they would, and it's a rental property that we're talking about, they wouldn't be able to get that help.
Correct.
If they still, not all landlords are wealthy, and they may have challenges with being able to demo a rental property. I mean, if it's at that point, then the tenant has moved on. So you assume that someone is not living there at that time. But wouldn't we want to help them get it into someone else's hands rather than quickly, rather than have it drag on and on and on while they try to figure out what to do? I mean, we would need it to go into someone else's hands to get another housing unit online. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I think that this was mirroring, historically what we've done with our assistance programs. I think that there's other programs that could be available, and honestly, I don't know the insurance requirements for a rental property. Maybe if you own it outright, they may still have to carry certain insurance requirements and things like that, so they may not be up against the same pitfalls of a property owner who owns their property free and clear, and so they've decided, I'm not going to carry flood insurance any longer.
I just think about the good number of homes in the Bartlett Park neighborhood, for instance, that were flooded during Helene. And many of those homes are rental properties. And I don't know if they're able to be made habitable. I mean, I don't know if they can be fixed up or if it's really a demo situation. Some of them are really bad.
Yeah.
So you think about, you've got this neighborhood, let's say it's 10 homes across 3 blocks that are in really bad shape. You've got an absentee landlord maybe, or someone who doesn't have the means or the interest in getting them back up to speed and renting them out. You give somebody like a soft landing, if you will, so that we can get them into the hands of people who will, rebuild.
Councilmember, you bring up an important gap that certainly I've already seen, where a small landlord, a mom and pop who owns one property, FEMA doesn't cover tenant-occupied structures. We're certainly, that's why we're here to have the conversation. I think our current thoughts around programs is how do we help owner-occupied units, and then how do we help tenants move on and are less focused on landlords. I will tell you that FEMA does have a multifamily program where they will help landlords, redo their properties if they will then rent to tenants who have been displaced by the storms. And so that may be something that can be explored. But, right now, kind of, it's a gap that would certainly need to be looked into to address kind of the situation that you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's just, when you have a neighborhood with multiple properties that are in that kind of a situation, it's going to be a really long time before things look nice again. And anything that we can do to help that, I think, would be really important. You've got not only the landlords who need some help or inspiration, if you will, but we have tenants who had to leave and are now staying with a relative or whatever, and they're now housing insecure because that was their affordable housing until now. So we know that there's a bigger picture with that. We can discuss it another day, but for now, I'm just looking at, you know, what are some ways that we can help that along, either, you know, whether it's a demo situation, and maybe it's a case-by-case basis. We look at at different properties and maybe different opportunities for the city to get involved. Or we make sure that there is knowledge and the resources available for the landlords to get that information so that they can fix up their properties themselves if it's not a demo situation.
And if I could, council member, and we'll brainstorm some of that, but I just have to take a second to thank Administrator Foster and Director Waugh. I mean, just using code compliance and money that's typically reserved for codes compliance actions for storm relief. Just really appreciate the thinking on
Yeah.
this. I appreciate where you're coming from too. I think one of the hard parts would be when that's rebuilt, then we would want some income restrictions on that, and that could be problematic. So maybe there's some other ways we can look at that, but we certainly hear your point.
Thank you, and I too appreciate the work that you're doing to think outside the box and find some reasonable ways that that we can help. So maybe you can think on this a little bit and let us know what ideas you have. Thank you. That's all I have.
Committee members, anything else on this? Councilmember Gertis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so for the demolition, we have $500,000 in available funds. And, I mean, I know every home is different, but like in general, ballpark it for me, like how many homes that would get us demolished? And I don't even like saying that sentence,
Yeah,
but,
it really could range anywhere from about $12,000 to $15,000 per demolition.
okay.
I'm not good at math, so.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay.
That was hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 40 homes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I had for now. I really like these. Thank you for the out-of-box thinking. I like both of them. I'm in support of the item that's in front of us later on today. I think the broader we can get while also being very intentional is a good thing, and I appreciate all the work on it. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Mohammed, do you have anything before I
Just
go?
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
And
think we all echo that sentiment, right? Seeing what you have all done in real time, you know, moving resources, moving people to where the greatest need was at that particular moment, and we continue to do that. I mean, our one-on-one the other day, I mean, what you guys have done, phenomenal. So yeah, I think we all echo that sentiment, and you guys mean a lot to us and to our city. So thank you guys so much. I only have two things on the potential eligibility requirements that I just wanted to note. And I don't know if there's a way to do this or not, but if there is any way to prioritize seniors, low-income seniors in this, because, you know, I'll just talk about Riviera Bay for a minute, right? 1,200 homes affected, and a lot of those were longtime residents who, you know, lived in those homes 30 years. And initially, when we first went in, right after the storm, it was like, I can't do this. I'm never going to want to do this again. Now I've got to figure out someplace else to go. I have to figure out what I'm going to do, like all of the emotion that comes in those first few days. But I will tell you that now what we are hearing on the, you know, other side of things is people coming back and saying, you know what, no, this is my community, and I do want to continue to stay here. I want to continue. I want to rebuild. I want to elevate, like, you know, people who have been there for a long time that are not ready to give up. And a lot of them are seniors. And so, you know, being a senior doesn't look like what it used to look like. Still very vibrant and still want to be a part of the community. So I don't know if there's any way that we can prioritize or, you know, put in some sort of eligibility around lower income seniors or fixed income seniors, but I think that that could be something that I would love to see us explore. And then the only other thing I have on the owner-occupied and homesteaded property, I just want to put a note on this because it's something that we worked through together with administration on permitting, on individuals who, for financial reasons, have put their properties into a trust, but they are, right? Yeah, like what an interesting nuance.
Bring up my situation.
What an interesting nuance that came around, right, for people. And so permitting, I mean, you guys, like the work that they did to kind of go back and reevaluate what we had decided, work with the property appraiser's office, work with Pinellas County Legal. Michael, you were very instrumental in being able to say, listen, if you made a financial decision to put your property into a trust, but you are still the owner occupant, you are the sole trustee, you have homestead on the property, why would we not let you, for example, do an owner permit? Or why would we not let you qualify for a program like this? So while we're talking about owner occupants, I just want to make sure we have that conversation now so that I don't have to come back later and be like, wait, what about all of our trust people? Let's just talk about it now and say, if you are in a trust, but you are an owner occupant, you are homesteaded, you are the sole trustee, you should qualify for these programs. So I just want to make sure I brought that up. Michael, did you want to add anything to that? Because I don't know that that's something we haven't talked about that out in the world, right? But that was a major change and a major hurdle for people that we were able to move out of the way.
Yeah, just so you know, a little context on that. We've historically, we didn't really want to put it on staff to figure out if this trust is more of like a business entity owning this home as an investment, or if it has, you know, a lot of folks through estates will inherit the home from their folks, for instance, through a trust. That's a common way of getting the home that you actually live in. So we just kind of said no to all trusts for a long time because we definitely don't. It's illegal to have an LLC, for instance, come in for an owner building permit, but we need to, in light of everything that's happened since the storms, being able to make that, and we put it on the owner. They have to attest to that, that's the case, and would be happy to help with you guys doing that on this end. We've got the language, we've got the path. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
It's a small thing, but it has made such a difference to so many people. So thank you all for your work on that. I really appreciate it, Michael.
No worries. Thanks.
All right, let's keep moving.
Okay, so Avery went back and helped us create a timeline so you could kind of see a previous storm and how long it took to receive recovery funds, and it actually wasn't that bad. I was pretty excited when I saw this timeline that Hurricane Idalia hit at the end of August. Our representatives went up to Tallahassee in November, approved the funding. We received the money by December. We did only receive $600,000, so we don't have insight into the formula the state uses for this. So we have no idea what we may receive in disaster funding from the state. You approve that funding because you have to approve funding that comes in January, and then we started marketing that to impacted communities. So just gives you a sense of the timeline that we could be looking at, but also gives you a sense that our representatives haven't gone to Tallahassee and met, and so until they meet, then we would still need a couple of months to turn on any disaster funding. And again, we don't know what that dollar amount will be. So it could be $600,000, it could be more. Here are the things that would be allowable for disaster funding. A lot of the same things that we do in our current programs, like rehabilitation, but there is also demolition, new construction, relocation of tree, debris removal. We could have homeowners self-attest to this. We also could do reimbursement for emergency supplies that are needed in order to weatherproof damaged homes, interim repairs to avoid further damage to making their housing unit habitable, so things like tarps, that kind of thing. One of the things that we've seen folks struggling with is the payment of their insurance deductibles. So when they do have homeowner insurance policies, one of the ways seniors and others keep those policies affordable, as we've seen those prices rise, would be increasing their deductible amount. And so maybe they can pay $5,000, but they need $10,000. We could help with a portion of that. Rental and utility assistance is also allowed, and mortgage and utility assistance is also allowed. So part of the conversation we want to have today is kind of hearing from you, based on what you've heard in your communities, which of these services are most needed, because we don't have to do all of them. We could just say we're going to do rental and utility assistance, or we're going to pay deductibles. The housing department has already applied for waivers for their SHIP funding and received those waivers, so that whenever this funding turns on, we're ready to go. Those waivers allowed us to remove that 65% homeownership requirement. It also allows us to remove the 75% construction set-aside requirement, and allows us to remove any advertising legal period for the funding. So again, we're in a good place. Whenever there's funding available, we'll be ready to turn that on. Here is what the other communities that have turned off Blue Sky funding is planning. There is a group that Mr. Van Loo is participating in. Call it the Joint Jurisdiction Call, where we meet regularly to understand what other communities are doing so that we can learn from each other. In Pinellas County, they are going to cover up to $30,000 per household. This is not open yet. They will cover any rehabilitation not covered by insurance or FEMA. They will also do insurance deductibles. They are only doing up to 80% AMI, but they have indicated a willingness to go up to 120% after the program is launched if needed. Clearwater is currently open. They are looking to do $20,000 per household for insurance deductibles, purchased emergency supplies, emergency repairs, and they are looking at 120% AMI and below, but they will give priority to those at 80% AMI below. Largo is planning on opening in January.
No, it's open now,
Oh, it's open now.
but they're closing it January 17th.
Okay, open until January 17th. They are going to do rental assistance with a focus on 50% AMI, but going up to 80% AMI. Pinellas Park's program is pending. They haven't reported a limit, but they're looking to do roof repairs for the elder and disabled. And then the last thing we're going to talk about today, and these numbers have been updated since I took this screenshot, is the We Are St. Pete Fund. I think earlier this week when I checked it, we were at $969,000. So we're getting close to that $1 million mark, which was our goal. We're really thankful to all of the businesses and individuals who have donated to this fund. The first phase of this programming that you will have on your council agenda on December 12th is the Rapid Resolution Program. We set aside $100,000 for this to just get something started. Doesn't mean that we'll cap it at $100,000. We could, with your feedback, decide that more people need assistance than the $100,000 can serve. But we really wanted to get something into the hands of people quickly. So any resident affected by Helene or Milton, no means testing, $5,000 cap, but there will not be an application for this pot of funding. There will be for other parts of the We Are St. Pete Fund, but this is specifically for when we are having to post units unfit, unsafe, and we're at the door and someone says, I know somewhere I can go, but I would need to help buy that family groceries, or I have another place secured already, but I don't have a moving van in order to do that. We could pay for their need directly to, rent the rental truck for them, go buy them groceries, the types of things we're already doing at the door without a funding source.
Yeah.
And so we really felt like $100,000 with a $5,000 cap, it would, exhaust the funds if we opened an application within the first minute of
Yeah.
opening an application.
Absolutely.
And so the best way to deploy this would be at the door when we are having to displace someone because the unit is unfit, unsafe. So that is our first program. Again, it's on your agenda for December 12th. The other types of programs that we are looking to do includes an employee program for our employees who've been impacted, a citizen housing program. One of the ideas we're bringing forward today for you to consider is if we wanted to do something that could impact more people, we could use the same programs that are going to be allowed by state and federal sources, but increase that AMI. We're already seeing, just even with the codes compliance program, that there's a lot of people that are impacted but are right above that federal guideline. And so, why reinvent the wheel? We can come up with whole new programs if you'd like, and what your constituents need. But if you don't, one of the ideas is to take the programs that would be allowed by the state and federal funds and just bump up that AMI. And then also, we said to donors we would do something for small businesses. I did get that feedback from the chamber just yesterday, so we weren't able to incorporate that into the presentation in order to meet your deadline, but we do have some of that feedback now, so I'll be providing that to economic development, and we'll be able to bring small business ideas back to you in the future. So here's some of the things we need some input from you on. You've already provided us some input on Blue Sky programming, whether it should be continued or reallocated to disaster program. Do you want allocations per strategy, or do you want that to occur organically? What do you think for caps per household? Particular strategies you think would be most impactful based on the feedback and needs from your constituents? Dr. Sliker already mentioned that the CRA, we're continuing to do all of that normal programming with them right now, but that opportunity to do some disaster programming is on the table. Any ideas you have for the We Are St. Pete Fund? And then lastly, which is not a question on here, but is something we've been talking about for a few months actually before Helene or Milton happened.
What you did there.
Yes.
You might have just made it.
I think yes. I agree with you.
Or Hilton.
Hilton, there you go.
That might be copyrighted.
But
Come on, legal.
it is a conversation I think we need to have at some point, is whether we continue loaning DPA in flood-prone areas. So many of the homes that we have provided DPA to have been impacted. Some people are ready to abandon those homes and want the city to buy them back because we gave them money to move into those homes. And so, it's just, we are always reluctant to paint anything with a broad brush, especially in a city where a large portion of our city is in flood-prone areas, when we consider not only the FEMA flood zones, but also our stormwater flood-prone areas. But, maybe there is one zone that you particularly want to consider and say, we don't want to do down payment assistance in this particular flood zone, but not all flood zones. Again, we don't have to decide that today, but it is something in order to be a resilient community, we need some guidance from you on, and wanted to put that out there for conversation or future HLUT for us to consider as you provide that input to our policy recommendations.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. Council members?
Sure.
Vice Chair Curtis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just kind of go down the list and answer your questions. I'm hesitant to move Blue Sky programming. Just with how much it's being used currently, I'm hesitant to do that. I would be open to moving some. I'm not open to moving it all or a large portion of it. So I would be looking for a different bucket other than essentially pausing blue sky programming. I think from percentages or amount of allocations per strategy, I really think we've probably got a little bit of a view on that based on applications today in the other programs. And so I'd be interested, like when we get the data back from applications and the cost of those, I think that would help solidify where my thoughts were from a percentages and where we're going to allocate money from. I'll skip down and just say, yeah, I mean, I would mirror the programs that we already have. I would just find funding sources that weren't blue sky. It would be my preference. And I'm interested to hear what my colleagues say about the AMIs. I would keep the spending caps similar to what we have. Those seem to work. And the AMIs, I would be interested to hear my colleagues. My gut tells me 120 and then focus on prioritize lower AMIs. And then obviously I think this is what the We Are St. Pete Fund is for. And I think we need to continue to try to get our partners in the city to continue to be a part of the We Are St. Pete Fund. I think some of that has fallen off of late, and we can continue to help and make sure that we're funding these types of programs with that, and we need our partners to be a part of that. So that's kind of where I'm at, but interested to hear from my colleagues. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilmember Driscoll?
Thank you. I do like what Clearwater set up based on what you put down here. Although I do think we need to look at 140% AMI. Let's see. I would like to continue blue sky programming, but even if we did like a 50-50, and I know it may not end up being that, but you all have the numbers, you see what the demand is, you have the insight to see how that 50%, if that's shifted to gray sky programs, how that should be divvied up. I trust your recommendations on that, just based on the numbers that you have. And then also the spending limits or caps per household. I'm sure that what you've come up with and what everyone's come up with is based on what you're seeing happening out there. So as long as it's reasonable and doesn't shortchange anyone, it needs to be a meaningful amount that's actually going to do some good. As far as particular strategies based on feedback from my constituents, I've already mentioned that paying attention to renters and making sure that and rental properties and seeing how we might be able to help with that would be good. And for the We Are St. Pete Fund, let's see, the Citizen Housing Program at 140% AMI is good. The employee program, I'm not sure. I kind of get a question mark in my head about using the We Are St. Pete Fund for city employees. Is that what that meant, the employee program?
When we launched the fund, we tried to be as broad as possible to let folks know the ways that it could be spent. And so those were the three areas we said that we would, help homeowners, tenants, employees, and small businesses. We did have a large number of employees impacted that live in the city of St. Pete. I think our thought around this was that, we had a number of employees that were impacted, and while their homes were flooded, we're here working,
Right,
serving
right.
our citizens.
Right, but haven't we already, I mean, we started helping them immediately, right?
With what?
I thought there was,
I mean, we did some things like we helped them get to food banks and things of that nature, but
Yeah, we provided the vacation cash-in
Yeah.
policy for folks,
Yeah.
and we've expedited permit review for some folks who live in St. Petersburg and who were
Yeah.
damaged. And we continue to look for opportunities, but this is a potential another opportunity to help employees.
so one of the thoughts around this, Councilmember Driscoll, was if they are a homeowner or tenant in the city of St. Pete, they would be eligible to apply for whatever we set up for citizens.
okay,
But we have a lot of people who can't afford to live in our city that work for us, that if we wanted to do something special for them, that they could apply
okay.
for
That makes sense.
a particular pot of funding. They wouldn't be able to get both, right?
Right, that's what I was wondering. So it would make them eligible if they're living in,
Pasco County,
Yeah.
but are impacted employees. And certainly if it's the feedback of council that we not do anything for employees, we tried to do as broad of, buckets as possible so that when we go back to donors and tell them how we spent their money, that they knew that was always a possibility. Most large businesses do take care of their employees, Raymond
Right.
James and
Right.
Duke and others.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to show our employees that we care about
Right.
their impacts.
yeah, I definitely want to do the same. I just wasn't sure if it was something separate, and then the same folks could also apply for the $5,000 cap on rapid response assistance.
Nobody can apply for the rapid response assistance.
Yeah,
So that is when we're at a door of someone.
at the door, that's right,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. So I look forward to hearing about the small business program. We've had a handful of businesses that I know of that have already closed because of impact from the storm and circumstances that happened after that. Some of them have had damage to their shops, and they're leasing their space, and it was not remediated, and they just had no choice, and the rent was still due. So every day that goes by that we don't have a program to assist small businesses is another day that we could see another business close. And in a city like ours where we have so many locally owned small businesses, I'm hoping that the chamber came up with something good and that we can start getting this out fast. Sounds like we're so close to the goal that we should be able to launch all of these things very quickly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've said in other council meetings that I should really put out here is that we were never intending for the We Are St. Pete Fund to be an immediate resource. The Center for Disaster Philanthropy, which interestingly enough is headquartered here in St. Pete, and it's a global organization, all of their feedback actually says that you should wait till mid and long term. Because it's the people who, after FEMA and insurance, have no resources, is when there is the most dramatic need. And, just using Hurricane Katrina as an example, there are still people trying to recover, and significant philanthropic resources going to New Orleans, this many years later. And so we're certainly not anticipating it to be in year 2 or 3, but the immediate resource, if you think of kind of a funnel, right? FEMA, insurance, the city resources are going to be so small. We're at the bottom of the funnel. And so we need everybody to tap those other resources first. And then we come in at that mid-range recovery part. So certainly share your concern about our small businesses being impacted and needing something now. But that was the design and thought behind why things are not launched and on the street already.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I just hope that we're ready and that the chamber is working to help provide resources that are available now while we wait to launch these new programs with additional resources. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes,
Councilmember Mohammed.
just quickly, thank you. We talked about the programming, Blue Sky, Gray Sky. Don't want all or nothing. Would definitely be open to that conversation around like how we do the resources, going into percentages and allocations. I agree with Council Vice Chair Gertis that I think the data should help to drive that decision, and you're working already to get that happening. The spending limits and caps per household, I think the existing programs have been proven. You see where the needs are, and so I think that can help guide what those caps and the limits per household should be. I think we're on the right track with particular strategies. I do want to echo that sentiment around renters, just kind of like really lifting that up, because I'm having conversations with a lot of people who are sleeping on couches and like one argument away from being homeless. And so how can we support them and the programming that we have? That's a really big need. Also the small business, I'm getting small business feedback, not a lot, but I am getting some small business feedback and requests for support. And then the We Are St. Pete Fund, I like the ideas that have been presented as well. Thoughts on the employee piece. Thank you for the clarification around it, because that first thought around employees impacted who live in the city, I was like, okay, yeah, let's prioritize them. But then hearing what you said about those who can't afford to live in St. Pete, definitely I think should be supported, with the caveat, of course, around income levels. I think would be something that I'd like to see. And I'm just rushing because I'm looking at the clock.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm going to take my time. So.
Okay. All right. Well, no, that's all I have. Thank you.
That's it?
Yes.
All right. Never want to rush. All right. So real quick, we'll just start back here at the first slide, disaster funding criteria. So you gave us, kind of a list of allowable services. I want to give my input on that first. Obviously, all of this is a need, but we recognize this money's going to go quick, right? So we got 600,000 before, and I'm sure even with minimal structures affected, it went very quickly. So we recognize that we're going to have to make some decisions. And while I think demolition, rehab, new construction, blah, 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 all of that, that first bullet point, well, we just talked about this potential codes compliance demolition program, right? So I feel like maybe that we could kind of put on the back burner and then move through some of these other more immediate needs. The reimbursement of emergency supplies, I mean, we all know how much money was spent on emergency supplies, right? But let's just be honest, we're so far past that. Let's move into where people are today. And for me, that is these interim repairs and reimbursement to avoid further damage, the payment of insurance deductibles. This one is huge because I think a lot of people are starting to realize what insurance deductible means. I don't think they really realized that before. I think those, let's have a higher deductible so we can have a lower insurance payment is hitting people. I remember my conversation with my husband about what an insurance deductible really means, right? And so I think a lot of people are in this place right now. So that is a place that I think we could do a lot of good. I agree with my colleagues, rental and utility assistance, very important, and mortgage and utility assistance. Now, when we talk about the AMIs, I could support up to 140, But I really would like to see us talk about, allocating at least 50% of whatever these funds are to 80% and under. I think that, if we could do that, then I think, we're addressing kind of both pockets of greatest need. So that is my feedback on that. And then when we get to what other municipalities are doing, we're St. Pete. We do our own thing. So I'm going to move on past that.
Like a nice hashtag.
We are St. Pete. So the We Are St. Pete Fund. So is the ability for people to donate still out there? Okay, so could we do another big push for that, administration?
Yes.
I think that as we are now starting to figure out what we're going to do with it, now is the time, especially in the communication with the chamber. I think if we partner with the chamber specifically, they're going to have a lot of people who were not impacted in their businesses who will want to help their fellow chamber members. And so I think we could maybe do another big push to kind of help with whatever this small business program might be specifically. So I'd like to see us do some work around getting more donations. How much do we currently have?
969,000.
Okay, so it's gone up a little bit since the last time I asked. So, yeah, I would love to see us hit that million and then keep going. So, I certainly support the rapid resolution program. I know we have had many conversations, Amy, about like what we talked about earlier, what you guys are doing in the field and doing it with little to no resources at this point. So I certainly support that. And then I want to talk about the employee program because I want to do whatever we can to help our employees. The employees who have been impacted but are still out there working. I mean, I was sitting last night with employees who don't live in the city. Their homes were destroyed and they're trying to rebuild, but they're still working 12, 15-hour days for our city. Like, we have to do something for the people who do so much for us. So I am going to be incredibly supportive of whatever creative options that you come up with to come back to us with. We have to make our employees a priority. And I think that if I put on the hat of somebody who would be donating to this fund, and you tell me that we had X number of employees who were impacted and we are going to make a special push to really help those people get back on their feet so they can continue to do the work we do, I think that to me is another way that we could really leverage additional donations. So I completely support that. I want to see what you guys come up with, and I would love to see that come back at a future council meeting. Or even here at committee. So my question for you all is, do we want to leave this on the referral list and have you guys come back with a quick update, like in a month or two? I mean...
Yeah, I think we could run the data that's been requested and provide that as an update at the first meeting in January, if you like.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of other things pending, so...
I know.
But I think we could easily do that.
Okay. Committee members, would you be agreeable to that? Okay.
Sure.
I mean, but you get to make the decision now for then. So I just wanted to make sure that you thought that'd be a good idea when you are listening as a resident. So, okay, perfect. Well, just once again, I know it's like we cannot say thank you enough. There is no ability to repay you all for what you have done for our city, but we just really want you to know how much we appreciate you. Your out-of-the-box thinking. Administrator Foster, there's a reason you're sitting in that seat, and this is it. So thank you.
I also just want to mention that quite a few of you brought up hearing from people who are sleeping on friends and neighbors' couches. There are a number of things that we can do even with disaster funding for those folks. So please, if you're aware of somebody in a precarious situation, do not hesitate to refer them to us. We're happy to do diversion conversations, which is a special technique. Happy to do that. Avery's team has gotten really, really good at it. And we also have our Blue Sky funding that does homeless prevention work.
Right.
And so we can always, work to get people into a safe place as needed. So I want to remind you that even though we certainly are at bluer sky points than we were a couple of months ago, the work hasn't stopped, and don't feel like there's nothing you can refer somebody to. We'll meet with people on a one-on-one basis and see. Call has programs. Gulf Coast has opened up some programs. We're also talking about ways we can pivot the hubs to prevent disaster case management in hard-hit areas. So they are moving forward with hiring a disaster case manager at our request. And so, feel free. We will do the social work that needs to happen while we're waiting for all these other programs to turn on.
Thank you for mentioning that, because that's a conversation I've been trying to have with residents in my district, is like, people feel pretty hopeless sometimes, right? Like, there's nothing out there to help me for my particular situation. And my message to people always is, you don't know until you ask.
Yep.
So ask me, and then I can go and ask on your behalf, right? And not to belabor the point, but the things that I have seen you all do for what seems like such a minimal ask, but can make all the difference in someone's life in this moment. So, I mean, if whoever's listening out in the community, and when we are out in the community, that is the message, is that we don't know how to help you if you don't ask for the help, and there is no ask too small or too big. So please.
I mean, seniors who are being preyed upon,
Yeah.
they don't know how to read what they've gotten in the mail.
Right.
We've requested that the hubs would be a place where people can call and say, can you help me understand this? They can't provide legal advice, but anything like that, we want to be of assistance.
Amen. Thank you all so much. Well, great meeting. We will leave this on for a quick follow-up in January. And with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We're adjourned, Bruno.
Thank you all.
very important for people to have diverse cultural experiences so that they can better understand and empathize with people around the world.
Sometimes you can take away things from those other cultures and add it into your own life, and it's very inspirational.
I learned so much about the culture of Japan, what it means to be in another country, what it means to have a host family in another country.
It's truly a very unique and amazing experience. It offers an immersion opportunity that's really once in a lifetime. You can't find it anywhere else.
I definitely learned so much more about their culture. I learned how everyday life is lived. You learn to love the people that you're staying with. You learn to love where you're surrounded.
One of the events was going to the Yashima Temple. It's a temple up on a mountain in Takamatsu, and it's otherworldly. It's absolutely beautiful.
I'd only really seen photos of the temples before, and it's quite a different experience seeing them in person.
I just remember it was so beautiful, and the more temples and things like that you visit, the more you appreciate the culture and appreciate the historical significance of Japan.
This is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime program. Even though Japan is on the other side of the world, I have another host family out there. I have another family out there.
It's really a great opportunity to exercise that interest in culture and learn more about Japanese culture specifically.
Not only is it educational, but it's also inspirational. It really inspired me to get out and travel more. And there's so much more for the world to see, different cultures, different foods, different lifestyles. And it's just so important that people realize and seek the world around them.
So if you live in St. Petersburg, right, most people know that the world's first commercial airline flight was here.
True.
Right, from St. Petersburg to Tampa. But what a lot of people don't know, could have been disastrous for the whole idea of the whole airline business, the chain came off the sprocket. The engine was basically powering a propeller like a bicycle chain and a bicycle sprocket that turned the propeller. And halfway across the bay, the chain came off. And he had to land the airboat in the middle of Tampa Bay and repair it. Remember when you were a kid and your chain would come off and you have to put it back on, your hands would get all greasy and dirty? Well, him and AC File both had to do that, and they both got their hands all filthy and stuff, but they put it back in the air and they made it. That could have been game-changing for the whole airline industry if the flight didn't work.
If they'd had to come rescue these guys out in the middle of Tampa Bay after all this publicity.
That's exactly right.
Oh, my goodness.
Hay un alfiler en una orilla de una ciudad en un mapa, como una esmeralda en la oscuridad o un ojo de pelícano. Oh península de sol, mar y baños. Aquí somos tan diversos como las conchas, la flora y las muchas aves que nos visitan cada invierno. Sí, somos bami, empanadas, knishes, injera, roti. Somos reggaetón, rap, cumbia, trap, jazz, rock y folk. Caminemos por el St. Pete Youth Farm para encontrar todo tipo de raíces entrelazados, alimentándose de la misma tierra. Aquí hacemos espacio para todos. Mira las historias pintadas en las paredes, calles y intersecciones. Neón, prismáticas y sin miedo de hacer ruido porque el arte brilla aquí, donde pintamos el arco iris por la ciudad con orgullo y decimos gay. Donde las vidas negras importan y donde una hija de inmigrantes puede ser su poeta laureada.
Thank you.
Hay un alfiler en una orilla, en una ciudad, en un mapa. Acércate, respira el aire salado. Mi gente, miren a su alrededor. Somos St. Pete. We are St. Pete.
I look at Woodlawn as probably the most neighbor-friendly, kid-friendly neighborhood that I've ever lived in. It's a wonderful neighborhood to grow up in. I wish I was a kid growing up in this neighborhood.
It's a real family-oriented community, super close to downtown, and it's just kind of one of those picturesque, nice, quaint little neighborhoods.
I think what was really cool about the neighborhood is it's different compared to a lot of the other neighborhoods where part of it is on the circles. So as soon as we drove in on the neighborhood looking for a house, I just knew that this neighborhood had kind of some extra character to it.
Woodlawn has got a circular style to it, design to it, and you can see from some of these old pictures that there really is a circle or an oval to Woodlawn neighborhood.
My favorite part of the day is driving home. You turn onto our street from MLK, and there's beautiful oak trees, blooming crepe myrtles, and then there's a park. We have a park just at the end of our street. So here in Woodlawn, we have 3 public parks within our community.
We use those parks a lot for our garage sale in the fall. There's cookouts that go on in those neighborhood parks, and they become very handy.
And that's where we have all of the holiday events, all of our neighborhood events, potlucks, things like that. But then on the weekends, you could just kind of go out there and hang out. So I worked out in the park, take my dog to the park. There's a basketball hoop for the neighborhood kids to hang out.
As the fall and into the winter and into the holiday season, every one of those little pocket parks gets used for certain events.
Christmas caroling going on during Christmas, there's an Easter egg hunt through the neighborhood. Halloween is huge in this neighborhood.
And then Halloween, you forget about it. It is crazy around here.
Woodlawn likes to party.
So, like everything, trees come and go, and a lot of the trees in this neighborhood are laurel oaks, and they've got a time period of about 70 years in their lifespan. And we realized early on that the trees in this neighborhood were going to go away. What we did several years ago as part of a grant is got additional oak trees planted in several of those quadrant parks just to give a little shade so it's not as hot during the summer. And I would guarantee that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, the folks that are living here in these houses will be looking at those trees, wondering who planted them, and gosh darn it, they got to be getting old. Maybe we need to think about putting some new ones in.
There's so many generations of families here, old houses, new houses, young families, families that have been here for 20 years. But amidst all that, it's just a really cool community feel.
When we saw this house, as scary as it was, we knew it was the house just based on coming into the neighborhood and feeling so welcomed.
And the other interesting thing is about the folks that live in Woodlawn, the majority of them are very passionate about living here.
It's just a very outgoing and nice community.
My name is Adrian. I've been with the City of St. Pete for about 3 years. My job title is environmental tech. That means strictly rodent control and basically keeping the rodents out of the structure or the home. Basically, the service that we provide is a free service to the residents. Kind of go through an interview process with the customer, what they've been dealing with, how long, how often.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The City of St. Pete. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
And then from there, an exterior inspection takes place. And then from there, it's pretty much education, which is key. The more the customer knows, the better we're going to be able to assist.
But the flap's sealed right now, so that's excellent.
The most common problems are going to be entry points. When we get those cold snaps, rodents are just like us. They want to be inside, they want to be warm. So the first place they're going to look for is set up inside the home. So we want to go ahead and get those places sealed off, which is pretty much the most important part of pest control. Sanitation definitely is key. Not giving them a food source to keep revisiting. My job is important because of the fact that rodents do carry a few different types of diseases. They can basically make you sick. As a last resort, we do provide bait boxes to the customer to kind of try to help control the population. I've been in the business for over 20 years now. I think it's a sense of enjoyment being able to help others that may not know exactly what to do in the field of pest control. So it's kind of a privilege and an honor to be able to help that customer and be able to walk away knowing that that customer's been satisfied with the service that's provided.
Writers is like a poetry takeover of the city, in which we're inviting poets, artists, nonprofit organizations, creative activists in the area to come together and to rally around poetry and to really just think about how poetry lives on the page, off the page, and in our bodies and ourselves.
City of Writers is a celebration of the literary arts in the beautiful city of St. Petersburg, Florida. We are the city of the arts, and the literary arts is a part of our history. We have a long history of always having a poet laureate in place, and this, our second annual poetry festival, celebrates how we honor that legacy.
I'm hoping that people will not only enjoy poetry, but spark a moment of curiosity in them. I've heard this amazing poetry. I've experienced poets of all types. What can I do? I want to learn how to write. I want to learn what other poetry opportunities there are in the city of St. Pete.
Writing, if you can express your emotions through writing, it's just a wonderful thing. And we all have stories. You see, that's the thing. Everybody has a story, and telling your story is a wonderful way for self-awareness, to get to know yourself, and for other people to get to know you.
Poetry is something that I think very much is existing and breathing across generations, and that's a big part of this festival, is inviting everyone to the table.
Maybe it's a little bit of my kind of hippie roots that makes me believe that music can change the world, and I feel we're doing our part in doing that. I'm Brad Wenkos, founder of True Fire. We're based here in the Warehouse Arts District of St. Petersburg. True Fire is a publisher of interactive video software for music education. In the Warehouse Arts District, you still have a lot of warehouses and industry, but you have artisans, you have pottery, you have painters, studios. What do we have? 3 or 4 breweries even. So you've got this really kind of hip scene that's growing up Central Avenue. We're really looking forward to what the Warehouse Arts District is going to look like in 5 years. I think it's going to be one of the country's premier art centers. When we present a course, you're either streaming that course or you're downloading the course. And it's not just the video that's a part of the lesson, it's sheet music, interactive tablature, backing tracks, charts. So there's a lot of digital assets that comprise a True Fire video lesson. I wish we had more teachers here in St. Petersburg, but typically we'll fly them in from Europe, South America, all over the States, Canada, fly them into St. Petersburg, put them up at one of the nice hotels downtown.
When I'm in St. Petersburg, I'm happy. For that reason, I wrote a couple of songs in my acoustic album dedicated to St. Pete.
When I was growing up, if you wanted to play guitar, you couldn't even learn that in school. You had to go find another guitar player. There were no books, there were no DVDs, certainly wasn't any internet, so you'd found another guitar player. Today, you can sit a student in front of a screen. You can show them multiple angles so that they can see the right hand, the left hand, everything that the player, the teacher is doing. So you're watching a video, you have a little map for where to put your fingers, you're listening, and you're able to learn how to play music. We do live broadcasts every time an artist comes to town. Streams around the world. For those 60 minutes, we have people of all creed, color. For that hour, we are one, we are a family. We share a passion. That's a very, very powerful influence.
When you look at the top concern for residents in an urban city or even our rural communities, a growing number of Americans list affordable housing at the top of the list. Here in St. Pete, it's no different. I'm standing here at the Shores in South St. Pete with 51 new affordable units made possible by a county-wide collaboration. Understanding the relationship between our quality of life and housing is critical. That's why I'm launching the Housing Opportunities for All plan, an intentional expansion to our existing housing plan that addresses the current state of our city. The plan aims to produce new affordable housing units, preserve existing affordable housing, and protect tenants. Housing Opportunities for All is more than a priority in our administration. It's a foundational part of our mission, a pillar for progress. This year, we've designated more than $40 million to build new affordable housing units and plan to help thousands of residents preserve their current homes over the next several years. We've also implemented powerful protections for renters with our Tenants' Bill of Rights. There is nothing more important to me and our City Council than improving the quality of life for the people of St. Petersburg. And these are just a few examples of the impactful work that's underway right now. I will continue to keep you updated on progress made as we help more families settle into their new homes and stay in their current homes. So working together and listening to each other with our eyes on inclusive progress, we will continue to move the needle on affordable housing. To learn more about the Housing Opportunities for All plan, visit www.stpete.org/affordable housing. We are St. Pete. This is Team Accelerate Day at USF St. Pete, where we have over 70 middle school students who are taking pit stops to learn about STEM and to understand how STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, contributes to the Grand Prix.
We're fortunate to be involved with the Grand Prix, and so we are creating a STEM activity for the students. I think it's a great way for students to have ownership over their learning and for them to engage with these various technologies that will be a large part of their future.
Here we're learning about the cars, and recently, well just now, we learned about how to 3D print. Put things in a 3D printer and then screenshot it so it can be turned into something else to be made.
It's just a great opportunity to be able to partner with the school districts and to have the students engage in this fun activity where they get to create things in 3D modeling software, to 3D print, and to tie it in with the Grand Prix.
We believe in inclusive progress, and even with something like the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, there's a way even in that endeavor to make sure there's inclusive progress and that everyone benefits, even our youngest St. Pete residents.
Today, we had our Contracts and Contacts bus tour in partnership with PSTA and several other businesses and agencies in our area. While the city definitely has tons of opportunities for our small minority women-based businesses, it's no guarantee that you can get on a contract here or there, so they need to know about all the different opportunities that are available to them in our areas.
We want to invest into our community. So for us to educate them and them educate us, it's a win-win for both of us. We also find that the community, when they can actually put their stamp on a project and say, I was part of that, it's just a wonderful sense of accomplishment.
There is lots of opportunity out there, not just within the city, but around the city, in the county even, for them to get work and do work right here locally, close to them. We just want to make sure we have the engagement and increase the likelihood of small businesses being able to participate.
In order for us to help them, we provide ways in which we can just put the word out there of the work that they do, so that way they can be contracted and win these projects. It's easy to say, oh, that's a $200 million project, and they're not gonna look at me. Well, you know what? They're looking for small businesses.
We did a lot of networking on each of the buses between the different groups, and there was a lot of really, really good conversation I heard being had. People was kind of saying like, oh, I could use you on this project, and I'm working on a project that I need this type of work on. And so those connections were going on, you know, even as we were riding the bus to the different stops.
It's a benefit to both the city and to us as business owners to come together to network. After all, we live here, and so what better way to come together and make the city better than to use our talents and our skills and our expertise to make a positive difference.
It's been really exciting to see this program develop. We've been registered as a small business with the city for several years now. I'm really excited that they have expressed that commitment to encouraging small businesses like mine.
I think that it says that this city cares about its businesses and its minorities within the city.
For me, I feel like this is huge because a lot of times we hear people talk, but there's little action behind it. So this is a place where the talk and the actions align, where we see a real commitment from the city to increase the number of diverse suppliers and to create a pathway to allow us access to those opportunities.
We do plan on having a lot more creative, new types of events coming out of our office. So we're just looking forward to offer our business community something different and something that they can hopefully make new connections with.
Camp Ignite is a 1 to 3 day program geared to help girls build their self-confidence, and for St. Petersburg Fire Rescue to show them what we have to offer. It's going to be action-packed. They're going to get their hands dirty. They're going to be a little tired at the end of it. But when it's all said and done, they're going to hold their head a little higher. They're going to leave a little more confidence to go out there and get after whatever it is that's their calling.
They'll get CPR certified by me. So I have the joy in teaching them that. It's a lifetime skill. They'll still have the CPR certification and the knowledge of it to take with them for the rest of their lives.
We want to ignite. We want to empower them. We want to be proactive in reaching out to them at an early age to expose them to the possibility of being a first responder.
Exposure's huge. I didn't get into the fire service until after I started my military career. I'm embarrassed to say I really didn't know much about it. And I got into it because we had to do onboard firefighting on our ships, and that kind of led me down that path. I didn't have a program like this.
It's important for us to have female mentors to help girls be able to see what they can possibly be one day.
If you can see it, you can be it, right? So that just inspires them, like, hey, if she can do that, so can I.
This is our way of being proactive and ensuring that we have a very diverse workforce that reflects the community we serve.
We have a big mix here. We got more people coming. I think it's just important for us to look like who we work for.
being firefighters today. We basically trained to be a firefighter. We learned how to do things that the firefighters do.
I really like the hose because I learned how to put out a powerful water supply out of a fire hydrant.
The coolest thing I've done out here is putting out fire. The coolest thing I've done is probably walk down a tower. It's like having a ton of adrenaline go through your whole body, and then it's like you're scared, but like you know you're safe.
I think it's a cool idea, and I like how they put this together for girls to learn about firefighters and show that you can be anything you want.
I feel like it's great for me because I want to become a firefighter when I grow up, and becoming a firefighter, you get to help people, and usually when you call in, it's usually the worst day of their life, so you're there to make that better.
I think they're pretty cool. I think I would want to be a firefighter. It seems fun.
I never really thought about doing it before, but doing this actually kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Together we ignite.
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 Together we ignite. Woo!
District 8 is located from the interstate to Tyrone Boulevard and runs north to south from Central Avenue to 40th Avenue North. I'm Richie Floyd, your council member for District 8. I'm standing along the shores of Jorgensen Lake Park, located directly behind our main public library, a place where students and residents throughout our city have visited and utilized over the decades and still frequent to this day. The newly renovated President Barack Obama Main Library will be an impressive, well-known asset to all in our community. Another major landmark in District 8 is St. Pete High. This highly rated school, built back in 1926, has served as a campus for generations of Green Devils in the Sunshine City. You haven't experienced all of St. Pete if you haven't stopped by Mazzaro's Italian Market. This true Italian market serves as a destination for lunch, fresh roasted coffee and beverages, and homemade pasta. District 8 is also home to one of our best business districts, Grand Central, with plenty of places to eat and shop. Grand Central was also the birthplace of St. Pete Pride and the Pride Parade, and still plays a role in our city's annual Pride events. If you're looking to escape the grind of the city, this district also features several city parks, including Gladden Park and Booker Creek Park, which includes new pickleball courts. District 8 has the right mix of people, neighborhoods, parks, shopping, and culture. In a lot of ways, it's the best representation of what St. Pete is all about.
Today is another great partnership to bring affordable housing to our community. This will be the Ed White development under the St. Pete Housing Authority. We'll also have a medical component with Everell Health, and the county as well as the city are partners in this development, and it will provide housing for 71 seniors in our community.
Is going to be for our elders, those that has been a foundation for our city and who need us to now lend that hand and to take care of them, which is what I am just so grateful that our commitment to our senior communities have been for the focus of this project.
The community at large will benefit from the project. We will be serving 71 of their senior families. The residents, they will benefit because they will have affordable housing and healthcare services.
This project's location is great, not only because it's central and it's going to move services closer to people that need them, but because of the history of this area of the city and the city as a whole.
Well, as you know, one of our pillars for progress is housing affordability. It's a part of the way that we make St. Pete accessible to everyone. In this case, want to live their senior years in our city in a great environment. That keeps St. Pete accessible to everybody.
1, 2, 3.
It's hard to imagine a time before sunken gardens existed in St. Petersburg. You would have to go back more than a century to see the land as it once was, a sinkhole. In 1911, George Turner Sr. and his wife Eula purchased 4.1 acres of land 1 mile north of the emerging city center. Due to the sinkhole on site, the land sat 15 feet below street level. But George, a plumber by trade, had an idea. He devised his own terracotta tile system, effectively draining the sinkhole, leaving behind a rich, mucky soil. Perfect conditions for his favorite hobby, gardening. Living a good life with lots of luck in the Florida real estate world, the Turners were doing well. However, after a series of hurricanes and freezes in the area and the downturn of the real estate business in 1926, the Turners were soon left with just the garden. And to make ends meet, they opened a fruit and vegetable stand. Soon, neighbors began to stroll through George's tropical garden, enjoying an array of plants from around the world. In 1934, Mr. Turner began charging 15 cents to enter his subtropical paradise of royal palms, banana trees, coffee plants, and more. It's hard to imagine the old sinkhole site would become a natural paradise. For 3 generations, the Turners ran Sunken Gardens for almost a century, building a world-renowned attraction complete with beauty contests, celebrities, models, flamingos, and other exotic animals. A lot can happen in 100 years. Freezes, economic downturns, and a breed of new amusement parks opening close by. So, in 1989, the Turner grandsons put Sunken Gardens up for sale. And 10 years later, the residents of St. Petersburg voted for a one-time tax increase so the city itself could purchase the gardens. This tropical oasis still stands as one of Florida's oldest and last remaining roadside attractions. Thanks to generations of the Turner family's dedication, a community grassroots effort, and a bit of luck.
I think a lot of people don't realize how long we've been together and how long I have been working within the studio. Like, just because they don't see me all the time doesn't mean that I haven't been integral to the studio and that you haven't been integral to my life. Like, you've been my mentor here since 2008, and I love this space. And this is my home. And as a filmmaker, because I am a filmmaker, we always have this thing called our passion project. Like, this is the film that I have to make before I die. I'll spend all my money to make it. Like, it's one of those types of things. And I sat back one day and I started thinking, do I have that project as a filmmaker? And That project for me was the studio. I knew I wanted it with all my being and fiber and love to lead this organization, to pour back into this organization that poured into me.
You want to actually give back without even saying, I'm giving back. It's just, Oprah calls it a full circle moment. Yeah. And I just knew, and the Board of Trustees knew, that you would be a good steward of this assignment.
But also, you are still going to be a guiding light for me. You're still going to be a mentor.
It's just a natural progression, and that you were around all these years to take over. The nuance of this place is simply, well, I've distilled it to the answer is always yes.
Always yes.
Because that affirms we're gonna do this.
My name is Jacoby Chambliss, and I'm a traffic signal technician here with the City of St. Pete. We maintain our traffic signals here. We have the signal heads, we got the cabinets, we have the controllers, we got the conflict monitors, so we just make sure that everything stays operational and safe. This is a very important job. We make sure that people get to work on time. We make sure you get there safely. That's one of the most important things, is just being safe. Without traffic signals, life would be chaos for us. We come in, we get our orders from our manager. We check our trucks and make sure we have everything we need for today. Our orders can be anywhere from maintaining a cabinet where we go out and clean it out and just make sure all the timing and everything's up to par. From there, it could be calls we get in from citizens saying, hey, you got lights out, and we'll take care of different things. That you got poles that get hit. It's always something different. It's a highly hazardous job. We're dealing with electricity, high voltage you're dealing with, the weather. It's a rough job to be out there and you got traffic coming by you, all types of speed. But I can tell you that the City of St. Pete, they take pride in what we do as far as taking care of our signals, and we're out here swapping our equipment out at a rapid pace here. We're trying to change out all these cabinets. We're putting in new controllers. We're doing a lot to make sure the city stays safe and to upgrade and change with the times. Every day is just always an adventure. It's always something more to learn. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy the City of St. Pete. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping the citizens. I just enjoy what I do, man. It's a great job.
District 4 is centrally located in St. Petersburg, from Coffee Pot and North Shore to the east and I-275 to the west. It reaches as far north as 77th Avenue North and as far south as 5th Avenue North. I'm Councilmember Lisette Hanowitz, your representative for District 4. I love where I'm standing right now, where baseball legends played. Huggins Stengel Field hosted the New York Yankees spring training sessions with players like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe DiMaggio, all the way back in 1925. This baseball field is located in what I consider one of the city's best parks, Crescent Lake Park, a 56-acre city park featuring the natural Crescent Lake, home to an incredible amount of wildlife. And of course, one of the city's most recognizable landmarks resides in Crescent Lake neighborhood, the Water Tower. Standing above the treetops at 110 feet tall, the tower features local artist Tom Stovall's mural and plays host to a pandemonium of green monk parrots. One of the best parts of District 4 are the many unique neighborhoods with their diverse architecture and residents that call this district home. Historical Northeast, Greater Woodlawn, Euclid St. Paul, and Crescent Lake and Crescent Heights are just a few of the great neighborhoods that represent the area. Our numerous parks allow our neighborhoods to enjoy casual waterfront strolls, swimming laps in the pool, play a few games, and a moment to reflect while taking in the nature that surrounds our city. Speaking of nature that surrounds you, tucked away in District 4 is a true tropical oasis, right along 4th Street North. Sunken Gardens is considered St. Pete's oldest living museum and has been around for more than 100 years. Meandering paths guide visitors through a living collection of more than 50,000 tropical plants and flowers. And don't forget about the flock of flamingos. There's really no shortage of energy, nature, neighborhoods, and great local businesses to enjoy while you spend a little time in District 4.
Hey guys, St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch here, continuing our Sunrunner bus tour. I'm here with fellow Bull USF St. Pete student Joey Vars. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us what Sunrunner means for a student at USF.
You know, Sunrunner is really a game changer. If you live on the western side of St. Petersburg or by the beaches and you're a student, it really opens up the city to being able to get to town a lot quicker. You can go to class without having to drive. I take my bike from Paso Grill to the station, and then I'm downtown in less than an hour, and I don't have to worry about driving.
And you were telling us on the bus how you actually get your bike mounted on the bus. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the way that the Sunrunner has it, they have these little bike assists, and you wheel your bike right in kind of on the little machine, and then it verticalizes it, so it takes up less space. You can kind of stand more compact, and you actually get more people on the bus that way too.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today, Joey.
Thanks for having us.
We'll talk to you more on our Sunrunner bus tour.
My name is Catherine Washington, and I'm the first Black female firefighter for the city of St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm very proud to be that and hold that title. A trailblazer is a person, and they go out and they do something that is mostly done by one gender. And they pierce that and they make something out of it that redistributed what people think of each other. I always wanted to kind of do what I call dangerous work. Something that somebody else didn't want to do, you know. So when my sister said, hey, they hiring, so I said, I want to go for the fire department. And I went. In this world, for me to be a firefighter, it was the most unique thing that I could ever think to be. Me being in the Army Reserve gave me a step up to think I could do way more things. I could lift the weights, I could come out of the building out of a window just like the man did, and that gave me the chance to do it. We used to have the Martin Luther King parade. One time, I didn't want to be in the parade, I wanted to see the parade. Well, I had these 3 African-American older females that I knew knock on my door and say to me, you do not miss another parade as long as you're on this department, because we have young girls out here who need to see you and know that they can aspire to be what you are. So don't be standing over here in the crowd with us. You be out there walking with them fellas. If I could say something to kids who think they can't aspire to be this because they have problems and they think those problems hold them down, don't let what you think you hold you back. Aspire to be what you want to be in spite of that. And then you can see yourself being somebody else.
I want it to be fun. I want people to ask questions like, why are the cows flying? Why does the girl have 2 faces? All of my artwork, I want to hint at a story that you can fill the blanks in with. My artwork tells my story of navigating femininity, faith, and Latinidad through my paintings. Having something that is gonna live on and that people will stumble upon, like, wow, this really is super cool. I'm Christy. I've always been an artist. It's never really been a choice that I've made.
My name is Evan. I graduated from St. Pete.
St. Pete High? All right, good to meet you.
My name is Mario.
Mario.
St. Pete.
Another Green Devil?
We have a license A, B, and C that allow you to move up through the ranks of a treatment plant.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, everybody.
The Mayor's Future Ready Academy is an innovative approach to providing opportunities for our young people and also fulfilling some of our workforce needs in city departments like Parks and Recreation, Sanitation, and Public Works. This was an innovative way that our departments thought to open the doors of opportunity to let our young people know about the career path, not just a job, but a career with the city of St. Petersburg.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send y'all with the field group. I think one is going to be manhole inspections.
Our Future Ready Academy really consists of going through each department through the city and then learning new experiences through each department and what each department consists of. You get to learn a lot.
Well, I'm with Water Resources Department right now, and we came out here to this manhole to see if the float should be moved.
The blower is ventilating the air right now, pushing all the toxic gas out and bringing fresh air in.
Today, we're trying to get the flow meter changed from one manhole to the next one. And one manhole, there's a lot of sludge, and then the other one, we just found out it is sludge in that one as well.
We have to use a blower to blow all the toxic gas out and put fresh air in the manhole so it's safe for somebody to go down there.
It's a good way to look at what they do behind the scenes. Coming out here, you actually see like they test the waters for how fast it's traveling, and they test the waters like to see like the gases and what's in it.
They clean out at the lift stations things that come through the toilet filtration system. That's like the flush wipes, they're really not flushable or biodegradable. There's just a lot of things that people flush that don't need to be flushed.
Today I'm with Park and Rec, the construction crew.
They building a clay pit. We had to stack all the bricks up and then make our own mix, spread it in so it can lock.
Cadets have opportunities to earn some other certifications outside of the classroom. These cadets were working on their CDLB, which means once they complete this particular program, they will be CDLB certified, which means that they'll be able to operate certain vehicles that you have to have the CDLB permits for.
So y'all did it. I'm proud of y'all. I swear I'm so proud of y'all.
Today I'm with the SPTO department and I'm with the traffic group.
Across the road, there's another pole box. Once we pull it through there, we're gonna run it up the pole and out onto the arm.
Today we were setting up radars, which kind of scan the cars when they pull up to the lights, giving signals to the lights so that they could turn.
We have sensors that will see cars. And what we did is we needed to add 2 sensors for north and south coming out of the dog track and coming out of apartment complex.
I've never been up that high, other than in like an airplane, but seeing the wires and how everything works was really cool. I want to have a job with the city so I can start my career, and then from that point on, just keep moving up.
You are a leader. You are important. You deserve everything that you desire. And St. Petersburg is a great place for you to achieve those things. Is that right?
The program was good. At some points it was a little hard to kind of, I guess, keep going, keep pushing through it. But being here today, it's really good. I feel very accomplished.
He started out and he continued and completed everything that he set out to do.
So I'm proud of him.
I just think it's incredible when we talk about this program. 9 graduates, 6 full-time opportunities, 3 CDLs, 1 part-time. I mean, it's just incredible to think about what you've accomplished in that time period.
I feel like I'm real proud of myself. I feel like I did a good job throughout the whole program, you know, not giving up and just keep working so I can better myself in life.
I'm just so thankful for the program. It gives him a start in life, and I'm really, really proud of him.
You are the first. You set the standard, and you've proven the concept of this program. We want to make sure that whether you're with us for 5 years or for 50 years, that you know that you have the foundation to move forward in life and achieve anything that you all want to achieve.
The new Minority and Women Business Enterprise Program, referred to as the MWBE program, aims to promote business and economic development for minority-owned business enterprises and women-owned business enterprises in the St. Pete area. Equity and business opportunities are key priorities in Mayor Ken Welch and his team's agenda, and one of his 5 pillars for progress. The MWBE will be administered by the City of St. Petersburg's Office of Supplier Diversity, created to promote fair and equal business opportunities, ensuring equity in contracts and procurement for all members of our community who want to do business with the City of St. Petersburg. The city awards millions of dollars in contracts each year for services, supplies, and construction, which results in the creation of a wide variety of opportunities. The new MWBE program will create participation percentage requirements, providing more opportunities for St. Pete's diverse business community. For more information on qualifications, eligibility, and how to apply, visit stpete.org/MWBE.
Growing up, one of my biggest female role models was my grandmother. My grandmother was an incredible woman. She was hardworking, she was kind, she was sweet, but she was tough. And she really taught me from a very, very young age how important it is not only to work hard for everything that you want, but once you achieve those things, to give back to others.
When you look at who did I look up to, I have to say my mother was definitely the primary one, because she was actually able to take so little and provide so much. She taught me what fortitude was. She taught me what commitment was.
Even in this day and age, it can be really tough for women who are, aspiring to achieve their career goals or their own personal goals for their life. For those of us who are at this level, who have, accomplished some of our goals in life, we have kind of a responsibility to reach our hand out to that next young woman, grab her hand and pull her along.
Well, I think growing up, children learn from those who are around them. And even as they're babies, they mimic everything that their parents do and what they teach them. And I think having the positive role models that are necessary to make the right choices in life, role models are helpful.
Well, really, I think the sky's the limit when it comes to female leadership in our city. I think there is a day when we will have a woman in the mayor's office.
The future of female leadership in St. Petersburg is awesome. It looks bright. I am so encouraged. We take a lot of our lived experiences and we apply logical applications to making decisions.
I am inspired and encouraged by the number of young women who are rolling up their sleeves, getting involved in their communities, and really stepping up to be true leaders.
There was a time where it was, when is there going to be the first female on city council? Then we got to, there's a supermajority of women on city council. And I think that question in terms of whether or not women can be a part of our city and whatever leadership position isn't a question anymore. Women do lead.
Women have such an important role in our culture.
And the future of the women in St. Pete has never felt brighter.
Mentor a young lady or find a mentor for yourself.
Be sure to honor the women in your life this month and every month.
My name is Jeremiah Daniels, and I am the first African-American male salutatorian for the Boca Ciega High School. My definition of a trailblazer is somebody who breaks away from the norm to create their own path. They're not a trend follower, but they set their own trends. And the big thing about it is that not only do they do something new, but what they do is something that allows more people behind them to follow in their steps. Growing up, I would say the trailblazers in my life, I would say Jackie Robinson. When I was growing up, I played baseball, so that was a big part of my life. And knowing the role that Jackie Robinson played, that was obviously a big trailblazer to me. Throughout my 12 years of school, I've had pretty impactful mentors. My Algebra 1 honor teacher, her name was Miss McAlpine. She gave me advice that would be greatly used during my high school career, even when I was back in middle school. And even now, I still keep in touch with her. I would definitely say there probably are some who see me and are inspired. I hope that by me doing just what I do, that I do inspire others. So that way not only they accomplish what I did, but do greater things above what I did. It's a phenomenal opportunity to be able to give the last few words to our graduating class and those in the stands.
Please welcome the first African-American male salutatorian in Boca Ciega history, Jeremiah Daniels.
It was a great experience. A little nerve-wracking being on the stage and seeing everybody, but once I did start talking, it all came out pretty smooth, and I'm just glad for the opportunity.
No matter where we go from this point, we must be tenacious.
Obstacles are in your life for you to overcome it. It's down to you to overcome it. There's support everywhere. You just gotta know where to look, and they can help you overcome the obstacles so you can do it. It's when you say you can't that you won't.
Like Moneybagg Yo said, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. However it comes, just know that I'm ready. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
A lot of these baseball fans that go to the Rays games, and we see these, unbelievable great players come through St. Petersburg and play, but it's not the first time. And a lot of people don't realize that all these legends that they hear about, these Hall of Famers, would just walk the streets of downtown St. Petersburg.
Absolutely. I think the first baseball team came here for spring training in about 1914. 1914 was a huge year.
It was a huge year for us.
When you think about it. So it was the St. Louis Browns, and they played here for a couple of years, but they presaged those Roaring 20s, and part of the Roaring 20s was the coming of the New York Yankees. And they had all the big names. They had Babe Ruths, they had Lou Gehrig. They played here and they partied here at the Gangplank, probably.
I'm sure.
Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig stayed at the Florenton Hotel, which is still downtown. And the Yankees played here until I think it was 1961.
Hey, that's my house, and this is my ASMR video about water conservation. I use water wisely. Ever have a drippy sink? You should fix it to not waste water, and also not to go crazy with that dripping noise. Look there, that's my automatic shut-off hose attachment. Super water conservative. Even when nature calls, I call nature and I say, "Hi, I'm conserving water with my high-efficiency tank." Okay, bye. Oh, hey, that's me. Just using my high-efficiency washer. Just listen to the sounds of water being conserved. Go to this website to learn more, St. Pete, and do what you can for water conservation.
So, Bobby, how has St. Pete's history influenced you as a creative, as an artist?
Well, two things. When we still lived in the one-bedroom apartment, my mother was going off to work. She worked as a domestic. She was taking the bus, and she was leaving out the door, and then she turned around and she said, "You know, Bobby," she called me Bobby. She said, and she put her hand on my face and said, "We must stay in our place." And I didn't even think I understood what she meant. I've later come to understand, she said, he's an inquisitive, investigative child, and he might get into situations he is not equipped to handle. Growing up in Southern California, it wasn't as quite precious as it was in the South, but my parents are both from the South, and all of my plays, virtually 90% of them, are set in the South, even before I ever set foot in the Southern United States. And I think history informs your granddaddy, your grandmother, your auntie, your uncle, and it informs your parents. And even if they are not from the South, So one of the things that having a creative life, Live Arts Peninsula Foundation, who presented Web City, I was doing Uncle Ben's, a home cooking Negro narrative at American Stage, and they came up to me after one of the performances and said, we'd like you to write a musical about the Manhattan Casino. In writing that, Bill Leffington and myself interviewed dozens of people, and I learned a lot about the city by interviewing people. Was started by Elder Jordan, and there are many stories in the Naked City, and these are 6 of them. And it just started me and dovetailed with me already being interested in history and finding out the particular history of this community.
It feels like my whole career, I've just found a job, but never the job. Finding the perfect job that suits my life has always been challenging. I've always sort of just felt like a number at the places where I worked, so I think that I'm ready to find a job that will give me the benefits that I deserve. They always say that you're only as strong as your own network, so I'm expanding that. Beginning today, I'm asking anyone and everyone I meet if they know where I should work. Hey, don't you wish that you had a job that would contribute to your retirement fund without having to contribute your own money?
You should work where I work then.
It probably makes sense that I can't find the perfect job situation. I mean, who would ever leave if you had it so good? Hey, wouldn't you freak out if you could find a job that would provide you with a doctor that you could see anytime, without a copay even?
Yeah, and how about most common prescriptions too?
Yeah. Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, you should work where I work.
Everyone always says, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But I feel like a job like that doesn't actually exist. It's just a thing that you can say. Hey. You know what I want? I want a job that carries over my sick and vacation leave, instead of it just going away if I don't use it.
Well, you should work where I work.
Maybe my expectations are too high. Maybe a job is just a job. I mean, who really works somewhere that has the perfect package? Hey, little guy. You have it made, don't you? You should take a page out of your book. Get a job without a desk.
I don't have a desk.
Wish I could find that job.
Well, you should work where I work.
I'm starting to think that there is a place that has the benefits that matter to me. A place where I can find a solid work-life balance, but there's no way there's any job possibilities, right?
You really should work where we work.
Wait, you guys too?
Yeah, man, there's plenty of job opportunities at the city of St. Pete.
Where would I even begin?
Easy. Just go to stpete.org/jobs and then go from there.
Oh, I have to go.
Okay, wait. He's got our mic.
I need to work where they work.
Cut.
Did it!
My name is William Clifton. I work at the tire shop for the city of St. Petersburg. I'm a tire and wheel specialist. My general responsibilities are to make sure everything rolls. We just make sure everybody's rolling safe. We deal with garbage trucks, fire department, wheelbarrows, forklifts. We pretty much deal with anything that has a tire. Some days it's 10, 20, and some days we're just non-stop. I know there's over 100 sanitation trucks. I think there's roughly 300 police vehicles, upwards of 1,000 or better. We have the big loaders. I think that's probably the heaviest, the biggest tire. Smallest, I've worked on probably forklift tires, the rear tires on a forklift, or wheelbarrow tires. I love the work. The work is fun. I mean, I like working with my hands. I feel like the tire shop is an integral part in the city because without us, nothing rolls. No fire truck, no police department, no water department, no tractors, no backhoes. All that comes to us. Well, right before Hurricane Irma came here last year, we were the last group of people out of the compound, and